Welcome to the lesson. In this lesson, we learn about input devices. To start with, let us ask a few questions. What is an input device? Why does a computer require input? What are the various types of input? And why is it important to have various input devices? These are the questions that this lesson will focus on. So pay particular attention to understand how you can answer each of these questions. Let's start with the first one. What is an input device? An input device is a device that lets you communicate with the computer. You agree that as you use a computer, you must be able to communicate with the computer. So, it is an input device that allows you to communicate with the computer. To be more specific, an input device is a device that we use to enter data into the computer. Well, when we are using a computer, it is not only data that we enter, we also give a computer instructions which initiate it into action. These instructions are called commands. Therefore, an input device is a device that we use to enter commands to the computer. Since we said we need to give the computer data, a computer requires input in order to receive data from you, the user, in human readable form. So, a computer really receives data from you using its input, and then the input converts the data to machine readable form. Before the computer can begin to work on the data must be converted into machine readable form. This is another role which the input performs. What do we mean by machine readable form? Machine readable form is machine language or machine code. Machine language is the only language which is spoken or understood within the computer. The processor can only understand data that is given to it in machine language. Therefore, a computer requires input to receive data and to convert the data into machine readable form so that the computer can work on the data. Well, we have seen why a computer requires input. Now, let us come to the next question. What are the various types of input? Obviously, you may agree that a computer must be able to use different types of input devices. So, what are these various input devices that we can use on a computer system? The more obvious one and more common is a computer keyboard, like the one shown here. It looks like typewriter keyboard, but it is different in some ways. We will look at the details of a keyboard later. Another common input device is a computer mouse, like the one shown here, not a rat. Another input device which you can use is a scanner. A scanner resembles a photocopier in the sense that you press a document and the document is scanned. The scanned image is sent to the processor and the processor can process it in a way that you like. So this is a scanner. As you can see, the lid is slightly open to show the glass where you can place your document which you want to scan. You can scan text documents, you can scan pictures. Once you scan, the scanner will send the image formed into the computer. Another input device is a digital camera. Some of you have digital cameras which you can connect to the computer, like the one shown here. It can be used as an input on a computer system. Another input device which you have seen in some places, for example, in some supermarkets such as ShopRite, is a barcode reader, which is used to read details of product that you have picked from the shelf before you pay at the counter. So here is a picture of a barcode reader. Barcode readers have various shapes. This is one of the shapes of barcode readers. Another input device is a joystick. Joysticks are very popular with children or people that like computer games, especially at amusement centers. Here is a picture of a joystick. You can use the joystick to control the movement of things on the screen. So this is also an input device on a computer. Now, let us come to this last question. Why is it important to have various input devices on a computer system? We have mentioned that we can have a keyboard, a mouse, a scanner, a digital camera, and so on. Why do we have all those various input devices? One reason is that since we said a computer must receive data, data may be on different sources. Depending on the nature of the source where your data is, to get the data and put it into the computer can be difficult for certain input devices. Therefore, there are some input devices that can handle data which is on specific source documents. So in other words, we need various input devices depending on the nature of the data on its source. The nature of the data, for example, is the data in text form? Is it in form of sound like your voice which you want to enter into the computer, or is it in form of a picture? You can see that if your data is in text form, you need a special input device to capture the data which is in text form and enter it into the computer. Suppose your data is in form of sound. What input device can you use? Obviously, you may need a microphone. Although we did not mention microphone on the list, but a microphone is another input device that you can use to enter sound into the computer. Similarly, suppose that your data is in form of a picture and you want that picture to be entered into the computer. Then you can use a scanner. You can scan the picture and send the image to the computer. This is what we mean by saying a computer requires various input devices because of the nature of data on its source. Another reason is that when we enter data, we may want to enter data in various ways. For example, we may want to enter data very fast. The speed may matter. Some input devices can be very fast. Others may not be very fast to enter data into the computer. For example, suppose you have data which you want to enter into the computer and it is in text form. You have perhaps two approaches of doing that. You can use your computer keyboard to type in the data. If you are very fast, you may finish quickly, but typing usually requires more time. But you can use a scanner to scan the text document and then the text will be entered into the computer. So you can see that using the keyboard to type text may take you so much time. But if you want the text to be entered very quickly into the computer, you can use a scanner. So we need various input devices depending on how fast we want the data to be entered into the computer. Another reason why we need various input devices is convenience, or what we call user friendliness. Certain input devices are more convenient to use than others. Can you guess or can you suggest which ones are more convenient and which ones are not? As you learn your ICT, you come across various input devices, and obviously you'll be able to tell which ones are more convenient and which ones may not be more convenient. But we need various input devices because some input devices are more convenient and more user-friendly than others. We have addressed the various questions. Thanks very much. I hope you have followed the lesson which was about input devices. To sum up, we have seen that a computer requires input. Input is a device that we use to enter data and to enter commands. A computer can have various input devices, or you may need to have various input devices as you use your computer. Examples of these are keyboard, mouse, scanner, digital camera, microphone, barcode reader, and so on, including your VCR. And we have also seen that there are various types of input devices, and the reason is that, as we have said, the nature of the data on its source may demand that we need certain input devices. The speed of entering data may also require certain input devices, and how convenient is it to use a certain input device. Thank you very much for your attention.